Today we're going to be talking about why therapy and counselling didn't work for us and what did.
Having challenges in your relationship just makes everything so much harder in your life. It made our parenting harder, it made work harder. A lot of people seem to have this belief that if you're having challenges in your relationship, the only way you can work on it is counselling or therapy.
So for everyone listening and watching, I'm sure they're probably thinking, well, what did you guys do then? How did you guys turn it around?
We speak to lots of couples and we've worked with couples inside our programs that have done like 2 years of high-end, expensive counselling and therapy sessions. They've showed up every week, over 2 years, spent a lot of time, energy and money to feel like they've made very little progress. And luckily that couple, they came to our one-day retreat and they could not believe, like their words were literally over 2 years of like high-end counselling and therapy compared to 1 6-hour event with you guys it just blew their mind.
Welcome back to the Save My Marriage podcast. Today we're going to be talking about why therapy and counselling didn't work for us and what did.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome episode.
Yeah.
So we know many of you listening are having challenges in your relationship right now.
Yeah.
And we know what it's like. We know what it's like to feel just so emotionally drained and frustrated and exhausted.
Yeah.
Like having challenges in your relationship just makes everything so much harder in your life. It made our parenting harder. It made work harder. It just made even getting up every day feel so hard.
Yeah.
And we speak to lots of couples and we've worked with couples inside our programs that have done like 2 years of high-end, expensive counselling and therapy sessions. They've showed up every week for, over 2 years, spent a lot of time, energy and money to feel like they've made very little progress. And that is so frustrating. It makes the whole thing so much harder.
Yep.
And luckily that couple, they came to our one-day retreat and they could not believe, like their words were literally over 2 years of like high-end counselling and therapy compared to 1 6-hour event with you guys. And the progress they made in 6 hours compared to 2 years it just blew their minds.
Yeah.
Like they were like, this is insane. And we wanted to do this episode, just to let you know that there are other ways. A lot of people seem to have this belief that if you're having challenges in your relationship, the only way you can work on it is counseling or therapy.
Yeah.
They are two of like so many different ways. Like we're in 2025, like holistic healing and wellness, like personal development, relationship development. Like there are so many different ways to learn and to work on your relationship and to improve it. And if counseling and therapy are part of it, that's great. We've got lots of couples that actually do counseling and therapy and they work with us inside Save My Marriage School because we have a different approach that supports what they're doing in their counseling sessions and often makes their therapy sessions go a lot better. We actually get feedback from the clients sometimes after their counseling or therapy sessions, and they'll share that the counselor or the therapist will say to them, wow, that was a great session, guys. Like that went so much better than last week. What have you done in between? And they're like, oh, we went to this 1 day recreate your relationship retreat and it really helped.
Yeah, I love getting that feedback.
Yeah, we love to hear that. We want everyone to win. We know what it's like when you're in the trenches of struggling in your relationship. It's so draining emotionally, physically, financially, on all the levels. So,
So for everyone listening and watching, I'm sure they're probably thinking, well, what did you guys do then? How did you guys turn it around? Because we were at that breaking point of divorce and you were questioning it.
Yeah.
I was surprised. And so what does that look like for a couple that's listening and they're like, what can we do? Maybe they've tried counseling or therapy. Maybe they're sitting there and they haven't tried anything yet.
Yeah, well,
share our journey maybe.
Yeah,
and what you did.
We'll definitely share our journey. And like the first thing is like Adam was not open to counseling or therapy.
No.
And it's very likely, it's quite high that one of you is open to something and the other isn't. And I don't think that gets talked about a lot as well. And a lot of people think, well, that's the end of the road. Like I asked my partner to go to counseling or therapy and they shut down, or sometimes they actually get really angry and are really reactive to it. And so they try and fix it by canceling the session or not going. And then they tell themselves, oh, it's fixed. Like, no, if your partner has a big reaction and resistance to not wanting to do something, that's the very reason you need to do something. And that was what I learned from your experience. Adam was so resistant to counseling or therapy. He already had so much shame around the experience. And I remember you shared with me, you had a belief that you don't fix it. Like you only need to fix your relationship if it's broken. And I was like, that is so interesting. And a lot of people have this belief, like you don't work on something unless it's broken.
Yep.
And I remember saying to you, okay, like, so you have that belief, and that makes sense that with a belief like that, it makes it hard for you to go and work on the relationship, whether that's counseling, therapy, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But then I said to you, well, think of it like your health. Adam really values his health and fitness. And I said to you, so with your health, do you just wait until you get sick? Do you wait until like your muscles deteriorate until you move them in the gym? Do you wait until like you're overweight until you start eating healthy? And I remember you look at me going, like I haven't really thought of it like that.
Yeah, that was a bit of a light bulb moment for me.
Yeah.
And I actually have this conversation with a lot of couples when I'm on calls with couples, and I think it's a light bulb moment for a lot of couples as well, because I think the conditioning in our culture is don't fix it unless it's broken.
Yeah.
Like if your relationship's going okay,
yeah,
then why do you need to work on it? And I do think this is the disservice that we've done marriage in general in Western culture, is we've made it normal to believe that you get married and it's just meant to work and it's just meant to be great.
Yeah.
Happily ever after, as the movies say.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's such a lie, because nothing else in life is happily ever after. You don't secure the dream job and then it's happily ever after if you just sit there and do the same thing every day.
Yeah.
You've got to keep reinventing yourself. You've got to keep learning. You've got to keep showing up and putting in better work. Same in the gym. If you just do sloppy or you don't go, you don't get the result.
You don't get the result.
And it's the same with your relationship. Everyone wants to have a really fulfilling, connected relationship. Yet if you look at most people's schedules for a week, they're spending less than 1% of their week with their partner. And they're not learning and growing together.
Yeah. Or if you ask them like, okay, you've been together for 20 years. Yeah. What have you done in that time to work on your relationship?
Yeah.
And so often we get like blank faces. Like when we ask that question, they're like maybe I've read a couple of books, but okay. So then like think about your career. So when I speak to men, I'm like, okay, like, I've spoken to like neuroscientists and neurosurgeons. Like we've worked with some incredible people, doctors and teachers. And I'll say to them, so in your profession, do you just do your degree and then that's it? And they're like, oh no, there's like development days. And then, the curriculum gets updated. So then I have to learn new things. And I'm like, yeah, great. So have you applied that to your relationship? And they look at me like, wow, I've never thought of it like that.
Yep.
I've never thought of it in that way. And the truth is it's exactly the same.
Yep.
You cannot just get into a relationship and just expect it to work. You're going to have to put in some effort. You're going to have to put in some time, some energy, and some work.
Yep.
Anything worth doing is going to take some work. So
100%.
I think the first part before you even look at doing any work is actually looking at your beliefs, at doing the work on your relationship. And that's where we started. When Adam was like resistant to doing the work, I could have resisted back and just said he was the problem. We can't work on our relationship because he won't do anything. That would have kept me in the position of a victim. It's very disempowering. I don't like to be in that position. So instead, I got curious and I was like, okay, well, what are you believing? So if you are listening and you have a partner that is resistant to doing the work on the relationship, whether it's counseling or therapy, ask them what they believe about doing work on the relationship. They may have a similar belief that Adam had, that you don't fix something unless it's broken. And just listen with curiosity. I listened with curiosity and then I shared with Adam what I believed, which is that, everything in life takes work, and that I don't want to me, waiting until it's broken is almost too late. And I don't like to believe in too late. I believe you can always do something about it. However, I believe in a proactive approach to my life. And that is in my health, in my marriage, with my children, like in every area. So when I shared that my belief with Adam, he could see, especially when I gave him an example that he could relate to based on something that's important to him, like his health. So that is what I would recommend, looking at the belief first, then you can move into what approaches might be best for you. And so once we had that conversation, I then said to Adam, what do you believe about working on our relationship now? And you started to go, well, it kind of makes sense now. Like, now that you put it like that, I actually think we probably do need to do something. But he still did not want to just talk about it. And I respected that. I said to him, I actually agree with you. We're already talking about it.
Yeah.
I really didn't want to have to try any harder. We were trying hard. We were talking more. We were doing the do more, try harder thing, and it wasn't working. So I did agree with you that we probably needed a different approach. So then we kind of looked at like what's important to us, and we're both really practical people. And particularly Adam, we are very opposite. Okay, you're going to learn, like, listening to us on the podcast, we are absolute opposites. Adam loves like a practical approach to life. He cares about like how long is it going to take, how much energy is it going to take, and to be honest, a lot of men have that same perspective. Adam's very logical. So I said to him, well, what kind of way to work on our relationship would work for you then, that ticks all those boxes? And that's when you kind of shared that you would want to do something more practical, like, you wanted to feel like there was something you were doing practically. And that's where we were led to really breathwork. Breathwork became a part of our journey. And actually you went on a breathwork experience by yourself for the first time, which was huge for you. But once I knew that was important to you and a way you were open to, what I did then is support it. So, if you looked at things that around breathwork and you were interested in it, I supported you. I was like, hey, you should go. And for this particular event, you had to travel over 3 hours to go. I had to stay with the kids. But I felt like it was really important for you to go and do that. So that's really where it started. Once you were willing to do the work, breathwork was the door for you. And maybe you want to share why breathwork was the approach that worked for you.
Yeah, I've always been drawn to, like you said, like really practical and especially like moving the body and engaging the body in what I'm doing, because I learn better. And if you're listening and you can relate to that, then that could be a tool that could work for you too. And that's why we incorporate it into our programs now, because now I understand, being a facilitator of breath work, I understand the science behind it and how it activates different parts of the brain, which can actually help learning new skills, letting go of old habits and behaviors that don't serve you. It's really effective. It's not just like reading a book and then 5 minutes later you're doing the bad habit again. So breathwork was so powerful for me because it really opened another door, which helped me to see what was possible, helped me to see some of the things that I was holding on to, some of the stored emotions, the way I was actually feeling underneath. I was so stuck in my head. I found it very hard to connect to how I was actually feeling. And breathwork's great for that. If you struggle with feeling, Aston used to call me an emotional rock. So if you struggle accessing your feelings and your partner never is constantly saying, I just want to feel connected to you, well, what she's really saying is that she wants to see more of your emotion.
Yeah, she wants
to feel you.
Yeah.
But in order for her to feel you, you have to be able to feel yourself. And sometimes a practice that gets you out of your head and into your body can be a great tool for that. So breathwork's one of them. I've used a range of different tools, but I think my next thing from breathwork really is it opened me up to be curious about the journey and to continue my path. And so I did get a coach. I realized that my own brain wasn't helping me. I was getting in my own way, as we all do, because we're all creatures of habit and we get stuck in these patterns, which usually we've learned from our parents. And until you have somebody else, sometimes it takes somebody else to reflect something back that you can't quite see yourself. And then you can sit with that, and if they're a great coach, they can help you to reframe it and take the lessons from it and then move forward more empowered. And so that was a turning point as well that really helped me to see a different possibility, gave me some new tools, some new perspectives, and that was really, really helpful. And then, numerous courses and things that we've done since then.
But that is so true, because you cannot change what you're not aware of. You can't. And this is what feels so hard about relationships sometimes, because relationships are really controlled by your unconscious mind. depending on which study you look at, 90 to 95% of what we do as human beings is actually controlled by the unconscious mind.
Yeah.
Yet we are told in counseling and therapy and when reading books to try and change our life or fix our life or improve our life from our conscious mind, which is like 5 to 10%.
Yeah.
And that's why it feels so hard. And that for me, that's why I supported Adam doing breath work, because I knew that it would make the journey feel easier for him. And if it could feel easier, then he would want to do it. And I knew that because that had been my experience. So for me, the answer was actually hypnotherapy. You know, I've always been a very feeling person, so I'm definitely the opposite to Adam. I am just one big feeling, basically.
Yeah.
I'm all here for the feelings. Adam, it's true. I literally am.
It's definitely true.
It's definitely true. I'm all here for the feelings, and it's something that I really value. And I used hypnotherapy because I wanted to be able to process some feelings that I felt that I had stored in myself, that again, I needed someone else to mirror them for me so that I could see what I couldn't see. I could make my blind spots be revealed. And our relationship really was revealing areas in myself where I wasn't free, where I hadn't healed. And so I could see that. I had enough awareness to see that. But then I needed to go and do hypnotherapy sessions to actually process it. And what I found was there was even things from way before Adam. There was things from my childhood that were then influencing my relationship today. And it wasn't about fixing and trying harder and doing more. You know, I've been doing personal development since I was 16. And in the beginning of my journey, it really was about trying to fix myself, you know, and really it wasn't until I found hypnotherapy and more somatic tools and like moving the energy through your body, Reiki. I also love Reiki and I'm a Reiki healer. It wasn't until I started working with the energy that I realized it was about actually loving myself through this process and becoming whole and integrating all my parts, not punishing, rejecting, and like blaming myself. And that's what I had done for years. And I feel in a way the personal development world does sometimes push this. It actually can end up feeding this not enoughness.
Yep.
And that is what happened to me in my early days of personal development. So when I learned about like hypnotherapy, the somatics, the energy work, it really helped me integrate into the whole and realize that I could love myself on this journey. And actually the best thing to do would to be like loving and compassionate towards myself. And the beautiful thing that happened is then I was able to do that for you. Once I was being loving and compassionate for myself and my own journey and what I was moving through, I could then give you that gift. And then there was this energy of acceptance and like love and compassion. And then we actually could grow together, and working on our relationship started to no longer feel like work. It started to feel easier, didn't it? And lighter. So, you know, that's kind of in a nutshell where we started. And this is why in our work and at our retreats and in Save My Marriage School, our approach is very different. We do coach our clients. We will give them strategies, relationship tools. However, that's literally the last step. We always start with their beliefs, because your beliefs create your reality.
Yep.
Our beliefs were creating a reality in our relationship that we didn't even like, that we didn't even want. And it wasn't until we became aware of those beliefs that we could then change it. And those beliefs were then creating a story, a narrative, which we told about each other, which then created feelings in our body like resentment, anxiety, the need to withdraw, to protect. And then we would behave in alignment or in accordance with those feelings. So that's why we start with beliefs when we work with our clients. And at our one-day retreats, we incorporate breath work and we look at their beliefs, because that's the beginning.
Yep.
If you want to work on your relationship, that's where it starts. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like how can I start looking at my beliefs? A really great place to start is to finish these sentences. Like ask yourself, relationships are, and finish, like fill in the blank.
Yep.
When I say to you relationships are, like pause this if you need to and write it down. Relationships are, just see what comes out.
Yep.
Marriage is, my partner makes me feel, fill in the blank. You will be surprised at the unconscious answers that come out, and they are gifts. They are showing you this is what's running the show. This is what's creating your relationship. And it will likely be what you don't want. Like some of the answers that clients have revealed to us have just been so profound. And once they see it and they heal it, they are like, wow, it is like this new sense of freedom and possibility opens up for them.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people have beliefs like relationships are hard. Marriage is basically you get married and it's downhill from here. Know that in a relationship, you're vulnerable, you're exposed, you need to protect. Like with a belief like that, it would make sense that you might be closed in your relationship or you might be defensive because you have to live in alignment with your beliefs. That's how we are all wired. Whatever we believe, we are driven by that. So you will go and create and experience whatever you believe. So like this is a really quick session to get you opening to it. But, it'd be really great for you to sit down with yourself and definitely with your partner with curiosity and get clear on what you're both believing and then see how it makes sense that you might be creating what you don't want.
Yeah.
And then the answer is to recreate those beliefs so that you actually can create what you want.
Yeah, beautiful. So powerful. And when you see someone work through that and have that realization that one of those beliefs has been keeping them stuck for possibly usually decades.
Yeah.
It's so liberating to see the smile on someone's face when they realize they've been a prisoner of their own mind, to something that's actually not true.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'd love to ask you a couple of questions.
Yes, you love asking me questions.
I do love asking questions. I think the first one is for someone listening or watching this and they're thinking, well, we need help. Our relationship needs help.
Yeah.
And they're thinking about taking the first step and working on their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your first bit of advice you'd give to them?
Look at your beliefs.
Yep.
That is where I would start.
Yep.
I don't think that's where most people start. Most people start as I need to fix my partner.
Yeah.
They're the problem. Like most people point the finger at their partner or look externally. I actually think that's the last step.
Yep.
And I think this is why so many people struggle in their marriages and their relationships because they do the last step.
Yeah.
So I would start with the first step. The first step is you. What am I believing about marriage? Like, what am I believing about my partner? And that's the first step I took. Like when I was questioning divorce, the next step was like, what am I believing about marriage? What am I believing about Adam that has got me to this point? And
what was that belief? If you had to identify one belief you had back then or a couple that were really keeping you stuck and not creating the relationship you really wanted, what would you say that belief was?
There was a lot. Like honestly, when you start looking at your beliefs, like I had pages. You will have pages because we are meaning-making machines.
We are constantly telling stories.
As human beings, whatever we see, whatever we experience, we tell a story about it. We form a belief about it. But the most liberating thing is realizing that your beliefs are not facts and they're not the truth. And so now I'm really good at just questioning everything I believe. If I'm not getting what I want, the first thing I do is go, what am I believing about this? Oh, okay, that makes sense. Let's change that because I want X. So if I want X, whatever that is externally, what do I need to believe to get it? It's actually a really fun game when you like look at it that way. And that's how I see it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, God, when I think back to, it's like a horrible feeling to go back to some of those beliefs and ways I was being. But, I had beliefs that like, you were the problem and like there was something wrong with you and like, and that just made me feel so powerless.
Yeah.
I had beliefs around marriage that, that I suppose in a sense I had a bit of the like, it should just work. I think we all get kind of fed that, like it should just work.
Yep.
And if you really loved me, if you really cared about me, then you would know what I need without me telling you. Like I hear so many people say that and I had those similar beliefs, which are really so unhelpful. Like you're not a mind reader. No one is a mind reader. And I was kind of expecting you to be a mind reader. And I think the saddest part of it is I was like making horrible meanings about your behavior and I was making it mean something about me. That was the worst part of it, I think. I used to have beliefs that if you were unhappy, it meant something about me. If you were like not caring for me or not taking care of me, it meant I wasn't worthy or I wasn't deserving. And like I've healed a lot of that now, but I see this on calls with women all day long where they they make their worth dependent on how someone else is responding to them. And it's so sad because you've forgotten that your worth is inherent. It's in you. You don't look externally for that validation. You look internally. So yeah, I'd say that was the hardest part for me, or like I'd say the worst part of those beliefs is what I started to see that I actually believed about myself. That mean inner girl, that inner critic. And yeah, it's been really healing to heal those parts of myself and to reclaim my inherent worthiness and deservingness, and to know that I'm loved and I'm worthy and I'm good enough, and I always am and I always will be, regardless of what is happening externally, regardless of your behavior, those kinds of things. It's incredibly freeing when you can live your life that way. So yeah, I'd say they were my beliefs.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Do you want me should I ask you some questions?
You can if you wish.
I would love to know, what do you believe about marriage now? And how has that belief created what we now experience?
Yeah. So I would say what I believe now, I believe that marriage is your greatest opportunity for personal growth, because you're so close with this person, usually living with them and seeing them multiple times a day. And because it's the relationship in your life where usually you feel the most safe, not always, but usually feel the most safe. So there's this tendency to share more and be more open. And this is not always the case, especially if you're having challenges. But
even if you're triggered, it's still
yes,
actually revealing where you're not free.
Exactly.
Which is an opportunity for growth.
Exactly. So I see our marriage, and I help couples to see that it's actually a mirror. So it's like a mirror with a magnifying glass where it's reflecting back to you all the ways in which you're not free. And that to me is an opportunity for me to free myself even more and experience more fulfillment, more growth, more love, just more enjoyment, just to enjoy my life more by seeing the things that come up, not as that I need fixing or there's something broken.
Yeah.
Just that this is just feedback, that the way I'm showing up, the way I'm communicating, the way I'm acting, what I'm believing is creating this experience right now. So I just use it like that, and I see it as a really positive opportunity to grow. And
that makes
and I didn't
so
always
happy.
see it that way. This beautiful woman's definitely helped me to reframe a lot of the terrible beliefs that I had when we first got together, and we all have them, and we all need help to reframe them sometimes. But I'd say that's probably the most empowering one for me to help us.
I love that so much. And I'm so happy for you, because I know for a long time relationships just felt like a struggle and felt like something you would never be able to fix or figure out, and I hear from men all the time, I'm just not good at relationships. I just don't know how to make this work. And it's so frustrating, especially when you're trying to do it from your conscious mind, that 5 to 10%. And you're doing it from punishment and like not enoughness. I mean, geez, like that's going to feel impossible.
Yeah.
But when you can adopt this belief and just adopt it, just try it on. I say to clients all the time, just try it on like a t-shirt. Just literally, that's what beliefs are. Just try it on like a t-shirt. If you don't like it, you can take it off. You can change your beliefs as often as you change your underwear, which should be at least every day, but I would change them regularly. Because that's how you get what you want, is by changing your beliefs. And I love that you adopted that, because I really do believe that, and I've believed that for a long time, that relationships are our greatest opportunity for personal growth, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally. Like there is no other thing that is that intimate. I'd say maybe children and becoming a parent is another initiation into that deeper work. But it's such a incredible experience, and it's all happening for you so that you can be more of you and the version of you that you were always meant to be. And your relationship is actually initiating you into that. And I think when you can see it from that perspective, it just feels lighter. It feels more supportive. And I think that would be a great one for everyone to adopt. So I love that you adopted that belief. I wanted to also ask you, if you could go back to like 7 years ago now, when I did question divorce, what belief would you let go of sooner?
I think it would be that it's all her fault. Yeah. I was blaming you for a long time.
Yeah.
And I just kept myself stuck. I thought it was all you. It's just because you were being overly critical and complaining and telling me what to do and all the things. And I replayed that story over and over again. It just kept me where I was, kept me stuck. So I think changing that and being able to take responsibility by realizing that if I'm not feeling good, there's something going on in me that I need to look at, and just taking a step, something. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get stuck in that victim mindset.
Yeah.
And, then life just sends you more reasons to confirm that you're a victim, and then you're stuck in that story, and then you get more evidence of it. And what's so sad about it is you end up losing, you end up missing out on time and connection and all the things you want.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that, I think for a long time you didn't have a good relationship with taking responsibility.
No.
You thought that meant maybe that you were
I'd
bad,
failed, I was wrong, I was broken, something was wrong with me. But I obviously don't have that belief now.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people, especially men, I think a lot of men struggle with that.
Yeah, I think women do too. I hear from women all the time like, oh, so it's my fault. And it's interesting because that's a very childlike wound, really, that we're all trying to avoid.
Yep.
And we want to love that part, appreciate that part. It's trying to protect us. However, for me, my relationship with taking responsibility changed when I realized that taking responsibility is just my ability to respond.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So it's actually never about right, wrong, good, bad, victim, villain. It's always about, well, this is my life. And if I want to have my life go 100% the way that I want it to go, I'm going to have to take 100% responsibility for my life.
Yep.
If I'm okay with only getting 20% of what I want, then I can take 20% responsibility. But when you look at it like that, like when people say, relationships are 50-50, like I'm doing my part, I'm like, okay, so you only want 50% of what you want in your life? Because that's what you're saying.
Yep.
If you're only willing to take 50% responsibility, then only expect to get 50% of what you want.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works. So for me, that's how I look at taking responsibility. It's actually empowering. It's the most loving thing I can do. Like, it's my life, which means it's my responsibility to take 100% responsibility for it. And what I'm believing and what I'm creating. And so I think it's the most loving thing you could do for yourself. That's the kindest thing you could do for yourself. And I know you share that belief now as well. So
I do.
Hopefully these beliefs that we're seeding for you are helping you to see already and helping to expand your mind and your possibilities for what's available to you. Because honestly, there is so much available to you in your life, in your relationships, in your marriage, when you look at your beliefs. So I hands down, I think that is the number one thing that has changed our marriage, is looking at our beliefs. And we've done it in, a number of different ways, some ways we've shared today and we'll go into in further episodes. But I just really hope that this episode gives you hope that, it is as simple. It can be as simple when you work with the right people, when you follow, I feel, the natural process, which is to start at step one, which is your beliefs. You can actually get closer to what you want.
Yeah, totally. I love that. I really love this episode. I think that was powerful. So if you guys have loved this, we'd love for you to subscribe.
Yes.
This is obviously the start of we've just relaunched. This is episode 3, and this would just really help us to get these episodes out to more people who just really need it right now. So if you could subscribe, that would be amazing. And we will see you on the next episode.